Hey guys, Thrasher here, and today we're looking at Super Saiyan Kid Trunks. Before we do, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button down below, and let's talk about it right now. Okay, so Super Saiyan Kid Trunks is a supportive range damage dealer who is not super durable and also not super fragile. Let's go ahead and look at his stats real quick so you have a general idea of where he sits in comparison to a lot of other units in the game. So we go show details, stats. He has middle of the road health. I believe he's got about the 11th highest health in the game. His defenses are pretty bad. His strike attack is also kind of poor. He's 14th in the game. But his blast attack is number 1, and he has lots of stats that really buff that. The other two major things, his crit is not great, but as we've stated before, we're not at a point where crit is important in the meta. It's not something that they've really buffed heavily. His key restore speed is not great, but it's also not super poor. He does have some things that allow him to help with his key restore speed, or at least help with key management, so we'll get into that in just a second. If we go over to abilities, we'll see that his main ability inflicts enemy with attribute downgrades minus 100% to key recovery for 10 timer counts, and he gets a 75% to his Vanishing Gauge recovery as long as his health is higher than the opponent's for 10 timer counts. So essentially what that's saying is you want to use this after you've already comboed your opponent. You know that their health is lower than yours. You immediately use their main ability so that they can't get any key back, and you can get your Vanishing Gauge back up to full. This can also be very helpful because generally you want to try to use Trunks later in the match. He's not a unit you want to lead with, and we'll go down to the bottom right now and explain why that works that way. So innate power blast attack up. He gets a 20% bonus to blast damage after 30 timer counts into the battle. So at first he needs a little bit of ramp up time. The first 30 counts he's going to be doing very good damage, but he's going to be doing even better damage after that. The other huge thing here is you want Goten on your team. You get a 40% bonus to blast damage when Goten is a battle member. So that makes him a little less flexible than a lot of other units. In order to do the large majority of the damage he's going to be doing, you need a very specific unit, and there are only 2 really good Gotens in the game right now, whereas if you're using Goten, Goten has quite a few Trunks options. And then the last thing on the ability side is his Z ability. So right now at 2 stars he gets 17% to Hybrid Saiyan base blast attack during battle. If you can get him up to 5 stars, it actually changes to Hybrid Saiyan base blast attack and defense. So he's one of those units that if you happen to get more copies of him, it does actually make his Z ability better. I wouldn't say it's amazingly better, but adding a whole nother stat in that gets buffed does make a difference. Now the other major thing to look at here is we go over to arts and we look at this green card. This is the major thing. He gets 10% to blast damage inflicted and -1 to blast arts cost for each Hybrid Saiyan battle member for 20 timer counts. That means if you use this green card and you're running a full Hybrid Saiyan team, which you should with this unit, he will no longer have a cost of 29 per blast, it'll be 26, and he's going to get a 30% damage increase. That is pretty massive, but it does tell you that you pretty much need to have him on a full Hybrid Saiyan team, and you're going to need him on a team with Goten so he can really maximize his damage potential. Now the other major thing here is his special move, the Double Buster. Deals major impact damage and 15% to blast damage inflicted for 15 timer counts, but in my opinion that's not the huge thing. The huge thing is it inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade minus 30% to key recovery. Now minus 30% is a pretty big reduction to key recovery, especially if they're sidestepping. That can probably take 1, possibly 2 attacks out of their full combo if you hit them with this before they start comboing you. As far as the blast and strike go, they're pretty standard. Nothing crazy going on there. So the question is, where does this Trunks sit in the meta? He has an extremely high damage potential, probably top 3 in the game, possibly number 1, but it really depends on the scenario. The other thing to factor in is that he's not as tanky as the other 2 units that have the damage potential, and he has a slightly worse key management because he needs blast instead of strike cards. The other major issue is that there's only one real team that he can fit on, and that is a full Hybrid Saiyans team. The good news is there are quite a few units that you can put into the Hybrid Saiyans team, so you can make it a little bit more flexible, but if you happen to run into someone who has some type of a counter to Hybrid Saiyans, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because there's no way to work him in and have other units that can really counter it and maximize this unit. So I would say he is at the top of high tier, but not quite top tier. So he's right in between the high tier units and the top tier units, those top 5 units. As far as how long he's going to be in the meta, I think he will be in the meta for a little while. The issue that I see right now is that he doesn't bring an ability that brings team utility. He's mainly just a beat stick, and the problem we've seen with beat sticks is their shelf life is not very long. The good news is we still have not seen Mighty Mask, and once Mighty Mask does come out, whenever we see him, that will probably buff this unit even further. So he does have a little bit of upward mobility, but I think as a beat stick unit, he's going to fall off a lot faster than some other Hybrid Saiyans who are not just beat sticks. And that's really all there is to this unit. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything you think I missed, make sure to throw it down below and we'll talk about it. And if you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.